In this video, I want to cover 10 different math problems that you might see on the math knowledge section of the ASVAB. So this one reads, if 0.05x is equal to 1, then x is equal to what? So in this one, we need to solve for x. So in order to do that, right now I got 0.05 times x equals 1. Here I want to get the x by itself. So I want to divide both sides by 0.05. So when I do that, this becomes 1 or cancels out, leaving me with just the x. And then 1 over 0.05 comes out to be 20. Now if you want to do this without a calculator, you would do this is equal to 5 100ths, so 5 over 100. And when you have 1 divided by a fraction, you change it to a multiplication problem by making it 1 times the reciprocal of that fraction, 100 over 5. And 100 divided by 5 is 20. In the next one, this one wants to find the square root of 25x squared. So remember, anything, when you take the square root of something squared, it's just that, basically one of them. So square root of x squared is x. So you look at 25. 25 is really 5 squared. So we got 5 squared times x squared. So when you take the square root, you basically just take one of them. So you got 5. 5 squared becomes 5. X squared becomes x. So the answer is 5x. Alright, so for this one, they want us to solve for x. In order to solve for x, I need to multiply this all out and get the x's to one side. So if I take this right side here, I need to multiply the 6 times the x and the 6 times the negative 2. That gives me 6x minus 12. And then the negative 4 times 2x and negative 4 times negative 3. That gives me negative 8x and plus 12. I just bring down the 5x plus 7. Then on the same side here, the right side, we combine like terms. Negative 12 plus 12 adds up to 0, so those go away. And then 6x minus 8x gives you negative 2x. And just bring down the 5x plus 7. And I want to get the x's to the same side, so I want to add 2x to both sides. Leaves me with 7x plus 7 equals 0. Then I want to subtract 7 from both sides. Gives me 7x equals negative 7. And then to get the x by itself, I needed to divide by what's in front of it. So that's going to be divided by 7 on both sides. So x is going to equal negative 1. So this one reads, in a 3-hour examination of 320 questions, there are 40 math problems. If twice as much time should be allowed for each math problem as each other problem, how many minutes in total should be spent on the math problems? Okay, so we have 40 math problems out of the 320. We need to spend twice as much time on those versus the other type. So if we spend x minutes on the other type, we're going to end up spending 2x on the math problems. And there are 40 math problems, so 2x times 40 is going to be the total time that we spend on the math problems. So it leaves 280 of the other type that we'll spend x minutes on. So that needs to add up to the 3 hours, which is 180 minutes. 60 times 3. Then I'm going to multiply this out. 2x times 40 gives you 80x. And the plus 2 80x equals 180. Combine like terms, 80x plus 280x equals 360x. And then to get the x by itself, I'm going to divide by what's in front of it. So divide by 360. That gives me x equals 1/2 or 0.5. So that's basically half a minute. So if I take the 2x times 40 and plug in the 0.5, so 2 times 0.05, sorry, 0.5. So that's going to be 2 times 0.5 times 40. So it's going to end up giving you 40. So 40 minutes on the math problems. All right, so here they want you to add two mixed numbers. So you got a mixed number consists of a whole number, like the 3, and a fractional part, like the 2/5. Now here I want to add the fractional parts together. So if I have 2/5 plus 2/3, I need to make this the common denominator. So common denominator between 5 and 3 is 15. So that's going to be my new denominator on both. Now this first one went from 5 to 15. That's times 3 to do that. So I can multiply the top by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Now the second one went from 3 to 15. So that's times 5. So I can multiply the top by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Add those together. I'm just going to add the numerator. 6 plus 10 give me 16. And the denominator is going to stay the same. Now I want to convert that to a mixed number. So I got 15. How many times does 15 go into 16? That gives you 1 with 1 left over. So 1 over 15. 1 and 1/15. Now add the whole number parts. 3 and 2 is 5. So I'm going to have 5 plus 1/15. 1 and 1/15. Which is going to give me 6 and 1/15. So those two added together become 6 and 1/15. So this one reads, a circle measures 12 feet in diameter. What's its area to the nearest foot? So we have a circle here with a center. The diameter goes from one side of the circle through the center to the other side. So that's going to be 12. Now the area of a circle A is going to equal pi r squared, where pi, you find that on your calculator, that button, but essentially it's equal to about 3.14. Now the radius is half of the diameter, so 6 and 6. So the radius is going to be 6, so it's going to be pi times 6 squared, or basically 36 pi. If you multiply that out, that gives you about 113.097. The nearest foot will give you 113 for the area of the circle. So the important thing here is remember that area of a circle is equal to pi r squared, where r is the radius, and pi is equal to about 3.14. So this one reads, a square box has 6-inch sides. What's its volume? So we have basically a square box. They make it 3D. It's going to be kind of like that. So they should be all the same length, but here is be 6. That's going to be 6, and that's going to be 6. So the width, the The length and height is all going to be 6 inches. Now volume is going to be all the sides multiplied together. Length times width times height. So basically 6 times 6 times 6. That's going to give you 216. Now you're multiplying inches by inches by inches, so it's going to be inches cubed. So 216 inches cubed for the volume. So this one wants you to square x cubed. So remember, square basically means 2 of them. So x to the third times x to the third. And what is x to the third? X times x times x. And you got another set of 3 of them. So times x times x times x. And how many total do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be x to the 6th power. Now when you have this, the 3 and the 2 like that, all you really do is multiply those 2 together. X to the 3 times 2 power, or x to the 6th power. So this is one of the rules for exponents. There's several others, but you can look those up, find out different scenarios for when you divide exponents, when you multiply, like x to the third times x to the second. So in division you subtract, so it becomes x to the first. When you multiply, you add, so 3 plus 2 is 5. And then when you have to the power, I go ahead in this problem, you multiply x 2 times 4, or x to the 8th power. So those are rules of exponents. This one reads, if I inches of rain fall in 1 minute, how much rain falls in h hours? Okay, so we got I inches in 1 minute. So I'll write my I. So I inches in 1 minute. And we want to know in h hours, so we need to convert this to hours. So 60 minutes is to 1 hour. Now I need to write the minutes on the opposite side, of the fraction than where it started, because the minutes will cancel out. So it needs to be on opposite sides. Okay, so now I'm basically at inches per hour. We got h hours, so I need to multiply by h hours. So when I do that, I have I times 60 times h. So if I write that 60 IH, I'll tell you how many inches fall in h hours. So the amount that falls in h hours would be 60 IH. So in this one, it's asking us to factor 9 x to the 3rd power plus 18x squared minus x minus 2. So when I see 4 items in a row like this in this polynomial, I'm going to factor by grouping. I'm going to group these first 2 together and the second 2 together. So that's going to give me 9x to the 3rd power plus 18x squared minus, now I'm factoring out the minus 1, so in here it becomes positive x and positive 2. Because if I were to distribute this negative 1, it would be negative 1 times x to give me negative x, and negative 1 times positive 2 to give me negative 2. Now in this first group, I want to see what's the greatest common factor here. So the greatest factor between 9 and 18 is 9. And between x to the third and x to the second is going to be x to the second power. It's going to leave me x here, to give me my x to the third. And I'm going to need times 2 here. And I don't need any more x's, so just 2. Over here, x plus 2, there's nothing to factor, so that stays x plus 2. Now between here, I see what's in common, the x plus 2 and x plus 2. So those are in common, so I can factor that. That becomes x plus 2. And that's going to be the coefficients of each one, 9x squared and a negative 1. So 9x squared minus 1. Now if I look here, 9x squared minus 1, that's a difference of 2 squares. If I have a squared minus b squared, that's going to be a plus b times a minus b. So what I have here, I got 3x squared minus 1 squared. So my a is 3x, my b is 1. So I can change to x plus 2, I bring that down. And then my 9x squared minus 1 becomes 3x plus 1 times 3x minus 1. So this factor completely gives you the quantity x plus 2 times the quantity 3x plus 1 times the quantity 3x minus 1.